I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
All right, hello, welcome everyone to the Root Zone podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Stout. We're trying Zoom now, which is cool. So we're going to try to do more video. We got a couple that were professionally done. These Zoom ones are a little bit easier. I get to connect with people that aren't as close to me, and which leads me to my next guest, Mike Mansour, out of Rhode Island. Right, that's where your home base is.
Yep, right out of the middle of Rhode Island. We live in Cranston, and we service pretty much all of Rhode Island, Massachusetts.
Really? So I was right when I jumped on, or before we jumped on, I was looking at like where you live, Cranston, and I guess that's near Providence.
Yeah,
Uh,
10 minutes.
I was looking, do you service both the east and west side of Providence, I guess?
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. So
there's like one bridge.
the bridge thing is fun. I actually drove over it yesterday for the first time, and well, there's a couple bridges. There's one north of the river, and then there's another one that actually the Washington Bridge, which is the big debacle. It's a federal investigation where the DOT had this bridge, and you shouldn't be driving a vehicle over it for
Oh,
years, and yeah, and like it was one semi away from collapsing.
no way.
It was very close. So they posted all the pictures, and this thing gets inspected by all these inspectors all the time, and they're just fudging numbers. And then they gave him $78 million, and they're like, "Well, what'd you fix on the bridge?" So I drove over it, and there's a big plaque on it of George Washington's head. It's the Washington Bridge, right? And I was like, that guy is just rolling over in his grave, wondering
Yeah.
what happened to this country that we're living in, not even just the state that I live in. So yeah, it's
But
interesting. One bridge,
but
but we have the Newport Bridge too. So like Rhode Island is essentially, I don't know, there's a bunch of little barrier islands, but then you have like Newport, Portsmouth,
yeah,
Sound. So that's Newport County. That's got the Newport Mansions. There's some pretty high end stuff there, some nice beaches.
yeah.
And then Newport Country Club's there. They just had the US Senior Open. That place is phenomenal. But then you kind of go up, and the East Bay, it's just a bunch of little islands. So yeah, there's only two bridges, which kind of sucks. But
Well, I was just that like if you must service every type of property then. Like cuz I was looking like if you're in Providence, you got these, minis, 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, but then you go it looks like, 10 miles west or 20 miles west, you got huge
acreage,
properties.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we
So
service a park in the middle of Providence. It's about 300,000 square feet, but it's literally just a grass area that they use for different Providence events or city events or Pride Festival or whatever they're doing. So it's kind of cool because it always looks pretty darn good.
yeah.
They just had 50,000 people on it, and now they're looking for like soil supplements and stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, can we start adding growth regulators to this program?
Yeah.
They'll pay for it, but then they're like, well, do we go all organic? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, if you want quality, then yeah, we can add some organics to it, but we don't want to go fully organic.
Yeah.
Um,
So let's jump into your like early history. So you went to a 2-year college,
yep.
Ori Georgetown Technical College, right?
Yeah, it's in Myrtle Beach. It's right next to Coastal Carolina. A lot of people starting to know what Coastal Carolina is. They're starting to win things. And yeah, it was fun. I grew up in Myrtle, middle school, high school, college. Got in golf when I was 14, was my first job on a golf course, cutting grass, raking bunkers, stuff like that. Kind of fell in love with it. And I was like, all right, golf is my thing. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
be a golf course superintendent. I want to do this. So 2 year school, got out, worked at Sawgrass for a year as a spray tech. Really didn't love Florida, didn't really love Sawgrass. So I took a job up here as an assistant superintendent. The economy fell apart in 08, 09. I went to True Green, worked at True Green for 4 years, and then found a partner, and we started Forever Green. So
Wow. So what made you make that decision to go into turf care? Was it just because you love golf and like you said, you're a bunker guy, you were probably cutting greens, cutting fairways, cutting stuff. Did you like the aspect? I mean, I can remember at 14, I was sleeping until 10, 11 o'clock. At 14, you must be up at 4 o'clock in the morning,
making
right?
sand
So
on Legends Golf Course in Myrtle Beach. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. So that's a totally different world for a 14-year-old to like fall in love with that fast. What was it that you liked about it? Was it the money and the golf itself?
Definitely not the money, and definitely not the golf, because you're working 80 hours a week. Who wants to go back and play golf?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I don't know. My dad, when I was growing up, he was the green chairman at the club. So I'm gonna go back on this. So Valley Country Club is the place that I was the assistant superintendent at. My dad was a member there when I was a kid. So before we moved, I grew up right next to it. So it
Okay.
just happened that I moved back and took the job at the place that I grew up at. So my dad was the greens chairman there. So I was always on tractors, always around the maintenance guys, the backhoe guy. Like it just, that was always my thing. My
Yeah.
dad had a putting green in the backyard. We used to maintain it. And then we moved to Myrtle because it was golf. So it's just, that was my life. Golf was
Yeah.
life. Mom was a golf
Golf.
director. So she would essentially, if you want to go down to Myrtle and book a golf package, she was the hotel liaison essentially, to book your package and all your golf and get you the best deals possible. So she did that. My dad was always at a golf course as a supervisor for the outside guys. So golf was always in my family, and that's kind of where now I enjoy playing golf, sort of.
Sometimes.
When I get, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you were embedded in it, right? And then you went to this college, and then what soured you to the golf and being, a superintendent or assistant superintendent? Was it the hours? Because I remember we just had a podcast with Al, who was a superintendent, and he's like, man, once we got it going good, it was great. He's like, but it was just never ending. It was a 24/7, 7 days a week job.
Yeah, it never ends. I mean, the only, I don't know why I would get out of golf. I mean, I saw the economy obviously helped that situation a little faster. So I worked at True Green. I was a door-to-door salesman when I went there. This
Yeah,
was 2009. Yeah, 2009. So I would just go knock on doors all day. And the production manager was like, "Why are you knocking on doors when you have a turf degree and a pesticide license?" And I was like, "I don't know. This guy, the sales manager grabbed me. I was like, he's a good salesman, I guess."
yeah,
So I actually learned how to sell lawn care because the sales manager, his name's Dale, he would sell his mother if he could. He was that
yeah.
salesman, but he taught me how to sell. So that kind of got me into the liking lawn care, and figuring out how I could do it. I wanted to move out to True Green, but it's just I didn't have enough True Green spray experience, even though I had a degree in turfgrass science and all that stuff.
Do you think that
Didn't matter.
when you look back on that, would have been better for you to start as a lawn tech and spray first because of the
Uh,
knowledge you had, or was
no,
it
because I
valuable
got
to
the
learn the
experience.
sales?
No, because
Yeah,
I got the experience of everything.
yeah,
So I got to sell. I got to figure out just the script of how True Green does things. I mean, there's a script of how you sell and your rebuttals and all that stuff, and it's proven it works. So if you follow that script, you're going to make sales. So I got to learn that. Then they put me into production that fall because they start laying people off, and I can still sell. I can sell aeration stuff like that. And then I was spreading lime and stuff like that. So that's what I
yeah,
started with. And then the following year they gave me a route. So then I became a technician.
yeah,
So the technician for a little bit, they created a position called the service training coordinator. They spent like $4 million on it. We went to Atlantic City for a week to train. Within 6 weeks, they eliminated the position. So like they gave me a raise. I was like a service manager in a way, assistant. I had a little office. It was cool.
yeah,
But then it just fizzled away, and then I just kind of cherry picked my routes and called it a day
yeah.
and left the next year. So
Really,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
and then
it
and
went
then
pretty sour pretty quick.
and then right from there, you went right to Forever Green. This
Yeah,
was
so
the stepping stone.
we had a landscaper at True Green named Greg Marcello. He's a decent sized landscaper. He's got about 250 accounts in some pretty high end areas in Rhode Island. Um, so we fertilized for him. I was the only guy that was allowed to be on his properties. It was one of those. Um, we developed kind of rapport. We have the same personality, that type A. So it's very difficult for us to get along every day.
Yeah,
So he got this other guy, Brian, involved. And Brian is the owner for Evergreen now. I'm the ops manager essentially. So um, yeah, it ended up Greg is now just a customer for Evergreen. And Brian owns it outright, and then I run it. So um, I don't know why this became a thing and why I just loved it so much. It was like I built it and I want to continue to build it, but I want to do it the right way. You know, it's like you learn over those 11 years on how you do certain things, and you talk to people and you go to conferences and you're saying, hey, how do you do this? How do you do this? What do you spray? What are you spraying? And we're all in the Northeast. So essentially we're getting, you know, Fabian and all those guys, we're all kind of talking
Yeah.
about the same thing. You get pressure before I get pressure. So I talk to you and it's like, all right, it's moving
Yeah.
up. Here we come.
It's moving up the
So,
coast, right?
um, but yeah,
No, but that's so that was my next question about Forever Green. This has been 11 years
yeah,
going,
you're 11.
11 years. Wow. And how much does the other owner have in the day to day? Is he a lot into the day to day, or is he just the owner and kind of?
Minimal. I mean, he looks at accounts payable. He looks at
Yeah,
cameras. He looks at
yeah,
receivables. I mean, he goes through that end of the business. So I have an
yeah,
office lady. She handles the day-to-day phone calls, sales, leads, following up with billing for landscapers, adding accounts, all that stuff.
yep,
Um, I do a lot of the scheduling and all that. I have a bookkeeper. She goes to the PO box for us, to the deposits, and handles the QuickBooks end and deals with Brian on the payables end. Um, so we've got it kind of figured out. So yeah, he is involved, but as far as what kind of fertilizer we're picking,
yeah,
he doesn't have any input in that whatsoever. What I'm putting in
yeah,
a side mix, he doesn't come to the office every day. Actually, he
yeah,
hasn't been here in a little while. So
yeah.
he owns a
Well,
nursery.
it's very similar to Steve. Like Steve's works from home, like
Yeah.
he handles all that stuff. So it's very similar to how we have it set up. I like the idea. How many customers do you have? How many techs do you have? Because I wanted to just get a general idea of how much staffing you have for how big you are.
Yep. And it doesn't really make sense. Like I used to go, you know, a tech for every 175,000 or something like that. Obviously, you
Yeah,
know, techs go up and revenue goes up and costs go up, and to skew that and scale that, it's kind of difficult. So I have about 2,700 lawn customers that we do 6 applications on. Then we have some that are 4 apps, commercial stuff, through a
yeah,
land or think, you know, it is what it is. But that's a lot of like Boston, Cambridge, Worcester. That's more of our like northern Mass stuff. So it's cool.
okay,
It's exposure. Not really something I want to grow residentially because it's just too far away. But um, we have 8 technicians. I have one out on TDI now. He's just going through some health issues. So we're running 7 guys. I have a specialty guy that does mosquito, flea, and tick, perimeter pest. We do deer and rabbit repellents on arborvitaes and perennial stuff like that.
yep,
Uh, so he's kind of my specialty guy. He can go out and do fungicides, just not really lawn apps. So he does tree and shrub.
yeah,
So he's kind of that guy. I hired him this year. And then I have 3 guys that pretty much just spray or push, and then I have 3 guys that are on machines all day.
yeah, yeah.
So
So that's
I kind of figured out where everybody can, what they can do. You know, this guy can go bang out 175,000 square feet. He'll spray 150. He'll push 25 in at 3:30 every day. You know,
yeah,
they're out of the shop at 6:30.
yeah,
The ride on guys, 300,000 square feet. If you're tight, they can bang out 20, 25 stops if you're tight enough. Um,
yeah.
and it's just, that's kind of where I have dynamic routing essentially in my head.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Well, after years of Go Green or of Real Green, you have to adapt
Yeah.
dynamic routing into your head. And at the height of Go Green, we were running 13 techs, so we were doing the same thing. We had two bug techs. We had one
Yeah.
guy that was a commercial guy, and it's just it's good to hear, and you have that one. You say of you, and you have one really solid admin. Whoever is that person must be a good team player and is good at their job if she is handling
I wish she was
invoice.
40. Her name's Margie. She's 70. I think she's 71. She was at True Green for 21 years, I think. So she
Yeah,
did office manager at True Green for a little while. She was the commercial CSR for a little while at another branch. So yeah, she knows the industry and she knows how I like to do things. Or how
yeah,
she might not agree with them all, but I'm just picky in like how I want things done and sold and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
but she's phenomenal. She loves talking to customers, and customers love talking to her. I get so many compliments every day, and it's like I don't really have a filter, so it's great that she is my filter.
yeah,
And some people are like, oh yeah, you know, have Mike call me. what can I do for you? Can I help the situation? Stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, you
Um,
can, and we'll get into it right now. I guess is a perfect lead in, but you can get into it. The turf science guy, like you, if there's a problem, you can go diagnose it. Whatever.
I mean, that's
Is it?
essentially what I do. My guys are decent, but with technology now, captivated, I don't have to go do service calls to go look at a disease. Just send me a picture. You
Yeah,
have black, so stripe smut or not stripe smut, slime mold is a problem right now. We are 4,000% humidity and I think 77 degrees at night. It's the dew point's just astronomical. So
yeah,
there's a fungus among us. And but we're getting like these black, like half circle slime mold patch things. And it's everybody's like, what is this? My lawn is turning black. And I'm like, just send me a picture. And then I can
yeah,
tell them what it is, and that solves me from driving around.
yeah.
So like a lot of efficiency things is
How hard do you find it? With seven, we'll call it six technicians. The other two are specialty guys that should know their shit. Um, what I'm finding as I'm growing is I'm finding it hard for me to find time to train and to be a good trainer. Does that make sense? Like where I think I have solid weekly meetings. We have a weekly meeting every Tuesday morning, right? 6:30 never fails. We do a great job of that. But where I lack now, where I'm this is I guess my question for you, and you're years ahead of me. You're 5 years ahead of me. How were you able? I'm sure you were in the same position I was, where you were kind of doing apps, training guys. Where did you find a happy medium of training and letting them go? Like just letting them go do the work, because as well as I do, if you're a rider guy, it takes you a year to understand the machine,
yeah,
the hills, the parking, there's the
everything.
pressure, the
Don't
switches,
put don't go up a
uh,
ramp with your tanks full and your hopper empty.
full.
Little things
Yeah,
like that, it's
listen, there's a million things that I've learned in 15 years
they're
of
just
doing
experience
this.
they're little experience things. You got the guy that's holding on tight onto the Z spray, and then you got the other guy that's just whipping around with one hand.
Yeah,
He's talking on the phone, still drinking his coffee. He's charging it on the side. It's
yeah.
you got that guy. So I got lucky with
How did you have a guy. I kind of have a guy, but I'm trying to train him to get to be that guy where he can be the trainer.
yeah.
What you got any advice for me, Mike? Like what
I
was
wish.
your?
I wish that
Yeah,
I wish that I could like I really want to touch on that because that's cool. I got kind of lucky. So we started for Evergreen. I was the only technician we had. I actually found some old like revenue forecasts for 2000 and I think 13. It was like $400,000 to hit. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool to see. It's like how the cost. It was just an Excel spreadsheet and it just had little line items and it was just I was like, wow, things were so much simpler, you know?
yeah,
But so we had a kid, he lasted about 2 years. He was kind of like a job nomad. Bounced and the kids had probably 18 jobs since then. So he left. I found this kid, Mike and Tony. Tony, I actually got a job at True Green. I worked with him at a country club after I got out of golf. When I was at True Green and got him the job there, I hired both of them at the same time. So those were kind of like they had the experience. They've been at True Green for 10 years. Right on. They're my age. Mike's 40. I think Tony's 39. I'm going to be 39 next week. So like we all have families and stuff like that. So we've kind of
yeah.
grown together.
Healthy, had driver's license, knew what
Oh yeah.
they're doing. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And that's kind of what I look for. Like when I'm interviewing people, and over the years I've seen the pattern of when they come in and talk or talk to you on the phone, you can feel them out. Do you have a family? Do you own a house? Where do you live? What do you like to do? What are your values? Values are a big thing when I interview people, and it's like not even like what do you see yourself in 5 years? Like you can take their values and essentially evaluate those and see what they are as a person, work ethic, stuff like that. So I got lucky with Mike and Tony, and then we hired this girl. She came from True Green. She was here for a couple of years. She worked out great. She wanted to start a family. So obviously applying merit and stuff like that wasn't really good for having a kid.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so she left And then I just hired another guy from True Green and then another guy from True Green. I actually hired the branch manager. He was there for 25 years and they just laid him off, gave him a severance, and said, "You're done. We're
Yeah.
bringing in somebody younger for half the price, essentially." So that's what they did. I hired him. I got 4 good years out of him. I got him a transit van, put a 300-gallon tank in it, and he would just go out and spray all day. And it was good. So then it's gotten a little tougher recently finding people. I mean, I you can call me a poacher if you want, but it is what it is. I'll go talk to
Yeah.
someone. You never know their
Yeah.
and what their changes are and what day they had. Their manager yelled at them in the morning. You don't know. It's business. Like I expect my guys to go jump, which they really haven't unless I've let them go. Um, it's business. I mean, if you
Yeah.
can I
Well,
give you
I mean,
what can I give you and your family to be happy? That's
yeah.
what I like to push. If you
Yeah.
I don't know, your kid's sick, right? Your wife has to go to work. She probably makes more money than you.
Yeah. You're off.
You're staying at home, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Just make it up to me. So
Yeah.
like I really, really push that family first thing. Um, it's we started the guy that's out, we started GoFundMe. We raised $13,000 on it.
Yeah.
Uh, just so
Yeah.
that it covers, his out-of-pocket max expenses, stuff like that. So like we're a family. We had a little Fourth of July cookout last Wednesday. Um, we play darts in the winter time. It's fun.
Well,
So
it's like it's funny you say that because we talk about culture in this, and I like I say, it's culture. I hate it. It's like the C word to me. I don't think culture is the right word, and people will argue with me. And there's people that want to come on the podcast. My best friends, like I think you're wrong. I think there is the word culture means something, but what I'm trying to say is I feel like you are describing what I like to come to work as is where it's not so much a culture. It's not so much you know, uh, it's more of a give and take
mhm,
than anything else. It's more of understanding that that person's a human just like you are. You have bad days, they have bad days. How can you make their bad days better? How can you help facilitate them so their job is easier?
mhm.
How can you keep them informed and trained? Because that's like, when we first started talking about that's what my thought was like training, like I almost feel bad that I don't these guys don't have enough knowledge to as I do, right?
Mhm.
But that'll never happen. My I have more turf knowledge.
Just because
You
that's what our jobs are. That's what we're supposed to do. We're the scientist, the chemist, the weather guy.
it,
Like, but
it's
you can ask
hard
one of your
to.
technicians, "Hey, is it going to rain in the next 2 days?" And they have no idea. And you've looked at it 19 times this morning.
Oh, I know the dew
Like,
points. I know.
but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's what it is. It's just a different thought process. But the training thing, so like
How
my
do you
special
let them go then? How do you let them go? How do you
just let him give him a
you?
leash,
Yeah, go.
give him a
Let
leash
them
and pull
go.
back.
Yeah,
So the guy that I was before we were on, the guy that called me, new guy, was at True Green back, I don't know, mid 2000s, and then he became a milkman. So he was single. It wasn't a team. He had his milk route, he did that, and he sold whatever he had to sell, but it was him. He wasn't part of a team. I feel like he kind of lacks that. And I'm trying to I think once he gets that mentality of how we all want to come to work and deal with each other.
yeah,
I think once he buys into that, we'll be good. My specialty guy, he came from an active environmental. So he was 2 years, had both licenses, did a lot of structural stuff, perimeter stuff, mosquito. I was like, all right, this guy would be good. I need to spend more time on him spraying fungicides and stuff like that and why you do this. And he's Portuguese. So he speaks a little bit of broken English. Some words that he says are very, very interesting. There was a gazebo. It said spray to the back of the gazebo. And he was like, wow, that property was not 8,000 square feet. I go, well, did you go to the back of the gazebo? He goes, oh, that's what that said. He goes, I didn't know what the gazebo was.
gazebo.
His name is Schwa, and he's just
Yeah,
he calls me sir, boss, and he's 35 years old. I'm like, please just
yeah,
stop. Like, you're the most
yeah,
respectful person ever. But like, I could put any one of the team members together to work together for the day, and everybody would have a good day.
yeah.
Um,
And I try to create the team atmosphere too of, hey, you're on your way back, you have an early day, call the other guys. Hey, is there something that we could,
Yeah.
is there something that we could do for you? Can I help you bang out that 40K on the way
Yeah.
home?
Same way.
Can I get the front yard? And it's hard to build that, but once it becomes the norm, it becomes very easy to operate. And this has been an up and down year for me, for sure. I lost a rider guy last year that was, kind of the next guy in line to be the rider guy. So then I had to take all the rider properties back
Yeah.
this year, which left me less time to do other things. But I guess that was really my question. Is you give them a couple days of training, maybe a week, and if they know how
I
to
just
run
have
the
him go out with
machine,
other guys. I have him go out with other guys because I'll be
yeah,
100% honest with you. I don't go out and do routes every single day. I don't use Mobile Live every single day. I can
yeah,
go out and go do fungicides with Mobile Live, no problem. But like for me to sit there and go through it, why wouldn't I just send you with a technician that is a vet that knows what he's doing, knows how to fill things, is going to show you the way to do it because that's how I showed him how to do it or what we do. Um, so stuff like that, I don't know, training is definitely lacking. Um, but the culture's not, if you want to say that. So,
yeah, yeah.
like the other day,
Well,
I
listen,
think
a
one of the
smile could
stray
take,
guys,
yeah. Go ahead.
one of the stray guys was driving by one of the ride-on guys, and he stopped and blew off the driveway for him. So like little stuff like that, that's what I like to see.
Yeah, because
Everybody's
that'll
helping
take you
everybody.
farther with customers too, a
Oh
hundred
yeah,
percent. Because maybe employee A doesn't have the knowledge, but is great at talking to customers and does a really thorough job, and maybe is there an extra 2 minutes on every job, but he's
yeah.
just that guy. He leaves way better detailed
The
notes, and
notes, yeah,
yeah, things like that where maybe the knowledge isn't there, but the effort's there, and that's really all it comes down to is effort and how much you want to just like I read this book years ago called The Fred Factor, and it's about this mailman that just always went above and beyond, and that's the business is that kind of communication. And you're right, that's the culture. It's not so much training. I think we all could do a better job of training. I think
yeah,
we could spend more time on it, but the business gets in the way sometimes, and you have to go do jobs like
yeah.
that.
Even the
That
meetings, like
doesn't stop.
we'll do meetings every now and then. I just have a group text with everybody. So we start round three. So I'll send them a pretty wide generic note that says I found today I serviced your property and then I found blank. So it gives them something where they have it's all quick text. Everybody quick
Yeah,
text. Like
yeah.
they'll add their little thing to it, but for the most part, it's quick text. So when you go back in history, you're like, oh, well, what's going on here? What was wrong with this lawn? Why are they complaining? Oh, it
It's the
looks
same
good. Oh, well, I
same
bet
note.
it didn't look good. Yeah, it's the
Thank
same note.
you,
So
thank you for choosing. Thank you
yeah.
for
So
choosing
essentially,
Scout Lawn Care.
I put something together and then I send it to them, and they just kind of spin it off on their own. So it's like what I want to hear, what I want the customers to know and learn, but it's also teaching them. So yeah, maybe try better. I like your thing with the 6:30 Tuesday meetings. We don't do anything. I just do text messages like, hey guys, this is what I'm seeing out there. This is what's going on.
Well, I took that from EOS operating systems, the weekly meeting they used to call it, and I just do it's a very quick meeting. And the good thing is this is the third year in a row I've had text and I've done the meeting, so I've been able to just go through the weeks. It's just broken out every week. It's just one little slideshow of like what's going on that week, what's in the tanks. We have a part that's what's in the tanks, company news, employee news. Every meeting we start off with personal good news, business good news, and this is all EOS entrepreneur operating systems. I
mm,
forget the name of the guy that does this, but that it's hard. It's great some weeks without a doubt, because there's a good information a lot of weeks that I can give to the guys and we could talk about it and it's nice out. But I'll tell you what, these last 3 meetings when it's 90 degrees out by 1 o'clock and everybody wants to get out of there and there's nothing really to talk about. Nothing's really growing around here, and maybe a little fungus talk, maybe a little watering instructions, but like I try to get it less monotonous. But I think then every time I do it, I want to talk for 45 minutes about training. But it can't be that. It has to be a 15-20 minute meeting at the most. They got to be in and out. They got to be out the door by 6:45, 6:50. They want to get their day started, and you can ruin people's days by letting them hit traffic on the way out. You can ruin a day.
And they're used to their routine. So they come in and they
Yes.
have their thing. They do X, Y, Z, so they don't forget stuff. Because what I'll do is they'll be in. I come in at 5:30. Everybody starts trickling in anywhere. Mike's here at like 5:20 some days, most days. So he's first one in, opens up, and then I come in, and then everybody else kind of trickles until 6. Everybody's gone by 6:45. So this morning I slept in. I went to a concert last night in New Hampshire. I got home midnight. So it was raining at 5:30. I was like, I'm not getting up.
Yeah.
So slept till 7. I woke up and everybody's gone. Right. I look at the cameras, gone. And then you look at everything and they're just a little bunch of ants. Everybody's just running around doing their little thing, filling their trucks and just out. It's great to see. And I text them and I go, I'm so glad that I don't even have to come in and nobody worries about me.
Yeah.
Nobody worries about me, and you guys just go do your thing. Like, I don't even have to have the input. Like, I print manifests and I have boxes for them. So I just slide them in their little folders, and then they have their manifests, their stops, and then other things on Mobile Live. So they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
Before.
Do you have someone you have batch tanks, so they're just pulling their batch and filling it, or they fill themselves?
So we manually mix everything we do. So round 1 was pretty intense. I had 8 or 9 different products in the tank. Round 2 we kind of reduced a little bit. Round 3 we're pretty much down to 4 different products. So yeah, it gets a little much sometimes. Some of my fun just had that mixes are kind of nuts. But we have a 1,500-gallon water tank, a 1,500-gallon FERT tank, and then I feed the totes, 265-gallon totes into that 1,500-gallon tank, and I have a 90-gallon a minute jet pump with a 1-inch hose that comes off it with a gas nozzle. My idea was to have a flow meter on it, but they don't last very long at all. They last 2 weeks, and I'm not going to keep replacing them. So
they're expensive.
I haven't. Well, no, I found one that was actually pretty good, but the batteries get all goopy and stuff, and it just doesn't work anymore. So I just said screw that. So we just use buckets, 5-gallon buckets, and just 20-gallon sucks.
The fill station is I got mine right over there, and it's we batch each tank. So mix 5 ingredients, put in the ingredients, pump them in the truck, pump water in, see you later. The next truck's going. And it's, I was talking to my chemical rep about maybe doing some sort of batch fill system. So we have just IBC totes that hold our water. We have about 1,500 gallons too. But I'm always curious about how, have you thought about doing batching? Like just doing a full mix and then letting the guys just pull that mix out? No, because of just how
long is that going to sit?
Yeah.
So
I know.
They're fresh mixes every day. Occasionally fungicide, they'll run fungicide. They'll keep it in there 3 or 4 days. But it's not something that's a hot mix. So you'll still get good results out of it. It's not falling apart. It's not stinking, and our water pH is pretty good, and we test that weekly. So we add tank fix to it, which helps your pH levels that put you right at like a 6, 5.5, 6. But I like the manual filling.
Really?
Some guys are like, oh, well, I'm going to go to a little higher end place today. I'm going to throw in double rate of my micros or double rate of iron. It's 3 to 9 pounds per 1,000. We usually go, or per acre, we go 1 bag per acre. Let's go 2 on these lawns. Like you can kind of custom make that. And some days we don't spray a ton. Some days we spray a ton. So to batch it, I feel like it's more work. We all have like a fill area where they'll bring all the products and they'll sit there and then they'll just mix them for it,
So my ultimate, my brain automatically goes to, does that concern you that someone could mess up a batch? 1 tank.
I can do it.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Is it gonna? Is
And
it?
in 11 years, I bet someone's done it.
Nope.
Nope.
The
Get out
only
of town, Mike.
so in 11 years, the only thing that happened was this was early too. This was like the second. It was 2014. We used to spray a bike path for the city, so it was 5.5 miles each way. So we only had 2 tanks at the time, so we would put glyphosate and all of our other veg control stuff in the tank, triple rinse with Lescosol, be fine.
Yep.
I never had an issue. Well, when you have another person that's doing it, you're trusting them to do that triple rinse, um, and they don't do it, and then they go out and spray fungicides.
Yeah.
Kind of a
So
hot
you
rate.
have done it. So you've done it.
So
That's a mixing problem.
he killed 3 lawns. One of them was Greg Marcello, which is he was the owner of the company at the time. Another guy that owns JD Byrider, big white house like on a hill.
Smoked it.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. So we sodded all those. That was like 25 grand. But that was the only that was
Knock on wood.
only time that has ever happened where it was like detrimental turf death.
Wow.
I mean, we've not dinged up some bent grass and like stuff like that, but no like whole lawn kill at all. Never, other than that one time. It's
So how you're a tinker, you do a lot of stuff with your program. Over the
one
years,
chemist.
11 years of tinkering with your program. What's your program? You have 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps. What's your base lawn program?
So we're 8 billables, 7.5 billables. We're at the property 5 times. And we do 6 treatments, if you want to call it that. So round one,
How many visits are you there? How many times are you actually at the house?
just
5.
a typical lawn program is 5. So
And what's your window on that? Because you're a little north of me, so you're gonna be a little smaller treatment window. How many days apart are your
if I can
applications?
get 40 to 50, I'm pretty happy with that. If less than 60, I'm okay. Anything past that, I'm not happy with it. And it is what
Yeah.
it is. Like we're pretty good right now. I'm pulling work at 30 days, but that's just to tighten up the route. So you got some in that area that are 45, some are 30. So you kind of just put them on the same street because
Yeah.
round one sucks. Round 2, you can close. Round 3, you get a little tighter. Round 4, you're golden. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you're sending it. So round 1, essentially, I run a liquid and a granular. We just ran it was a 2404 Celiprin round 1 granular with on deck icon and triclopyr. That would be like more push or machine. Then we went, I don't even know if I have a list. It's a list of products. It's crazy.
What for round 2?
No, for round 1. So round 1 was like a Celiprin Dimension Defender, 2500 Metra from Helena. It's like a 20 to 30% slow. There's this product called Fish Shit. It's a tilapia farm that they refine it's a carbon source essentially. So
Yeah.
but this guy was in cannabis and he was growing cannabis and there was a line of plants where he was taking out of the fish tank and just pouring it in. They were double yield. More bigger buds, bigger plant, and then you just had your NPK kind of aisle and they were just half the size and they were like, we're onto something. So then now they just actually moved into Cranston. The kids from Cranston that started it. Big in ag, they're white paper, corn, soybeans, everything that's grass.
Yeah.
So I started getting into golf. And then I touched base with them and I was like, why are you guys not touching the lawn care? Like, what's golf doing for you? You got 160 acres. Like, cool.
That's it. Yeah.
I
I
sprayed that
got
last week. I sprayed that last week. So let's get this. So I added that in. It's $13 an acre. It's super cheap. Dimension Defender, on deck icon, 600 micros, tank fix the works. So it's a pretty good mix in my opinion.
So your program's kind of like mine, where you're front end loaded.
Heavy.
Your first
My first 2
2 or 3
applications are important.
Yeah, 100%. It's the same thing we do, and is it like but you're dealing with the same thing we're dealing with, a little dry right now. It's a lot dry where we're at, but a little dry where you're at. It's just, it's nice that you front ended. You know what I mean? We're not playing catch up now. We're just maintaining the turf. There's
Yeah, but
no,
from a
yeah,
accounts payable situation, it sucks. Brian is like
yeah,
he's not happy.
100%.
He is not
Yeah, yeah,
happy right now. He is having
yeah,
very stressful. So I do a lot of EOP. I probably did a couple $100,000 in EOP. My Celebrant Extra, I think I bought 30 grand with that. And then any Celebrant I buy for the rest of the year, it's like 9%. So I hit the Syngenta max, right?
yeah,
Um, EOP and lawn care used to really suck. Now it's getting better depending on the products. So I use Pillar for my fungicide. I EOP that. We went to Archon this year, round two, which is the new Vexus
yep,
liquid. So I spent 19 grand on that, and we blanket sprayed anything under 10,000 square feet. So
yeah,
now we're going back round three, and I'm pretty excited to see if it's actually working or reducing the populations of nutsedge in a lot of these lawns that have habitually been problems.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I'm a
But
tinker. I'm a
that's
tinker.
nice.
I like to mess
That's
around.
nice that you can adjust on the fly too.
Yeah.
You're able to adjust on the fly. You're not solely relying on. How much granular do you actually spread?
4,400 bags around.
Yeah, so not much. Around, you can call it that.
4,400 bags?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, you're granular and then you're spraying, or
No, so like I'll have
how's it
guys.
go?
It 15,000 square feet and under. I hope you get sprayed around one and two. That's our plan. Is I'm gonna schedule to a spray guy and I'm gonna try to get these lawns that are the small ones. Um, I would say below our average square footage is probably 16, 17. It used to be higher because I had a lot more bigger commercial stuff, and I've gotten out of the commercial because there's no money in it.
No.
Um, there's no margins. I mean, so
So majority you're liquid.
we
You're
sprayed
like
we
you're like
sprayed about
90%
250
liquid.
acres. No, I'm about a quarter spray and three-quarters granular. And it just depends on the
Uh,
property size. So if we do the city of Cranston where I live. It's 60 acres, all baseball fields, only inside the fence. Where was I going with that? Where was I going?
you're it's easier with
Oh,
granular.
so it's all granite. Yeah, I can't go spray 100,000 square field football fields, you know? Some of these other bigger commercials, we do AbbVie in Massachusetts, or a pharmaceutical company. They big in COVID stuff. It's 750,000 square feet, you know? So like we
Yeah.
do stuff like that. We've got a cemetery that's a little over 1 million square feet. So
So
that's all.
I think because like we get when we talk to other companies, oh, you do it this way, you do it that way. Well, like
I do it my
I'm
way.
yeah, you have to do it your way because you have such a different economy slash region that you deal with,
Routing,
right?
everything's different. I mean, I'm dealing with two different pesticide licenses, two different regulations, two different restricted use regulations. Pillar, you can't use in Massachusetts. It's
Yeah,
restricted use. Well, you can use it, but it's RUP. Whereas Rhode Island doesn't matter. So you
yeah,
got to be cognizant, and your technicians do too, because I can go to East Providence and drive to the next house, and I'm in Seekonk, Massachusetts. So you got to be cognizant of what you're carrying, what your licensing is, and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more technical things, but um,
it's just funny that
I
you
like the liquid program a lot. I've always been tinkering with liquid. I've done 4600 urea, melted it down, added Ensure to it. And then I added like a 15-30-15 that was like it was a Nutrite product, and it was super full of micros and stuff, melted nicely. Umax, Uflex. I mean, I've tried literally every source of N possible to get the most longevity, and you really can't.
yeah,
You just can't.
yeah,
Unless you're doing like a 70% slow, but a 70% slow, what's that doing for you in April?
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah, nothing.
It will eventually
So
hit, but
do you find like that you when you're routing like that kind of sucks? Like you have your under whatever your yard your square footage is for granular. Do you see like you got a house that's almost an all liquid program, and then maybe 3 blocks away there's a 28K or a 30K that's on your granular program? do you ever be like, that sucks because we're right down the block, or hey, I'm going to get two different results, or I'm excited because I got the same results? Like, what's your game plan when it comes to how do you deal with? I'm confused by it because for me, I'd either go one or the other. Like I bookend my route or my year with granular and granular. I'm liquid the rest, or I'm liquid all the time, or I'm granular all the time and I spray weeds. Like it's mind blowing to me that you kind of do a hybrid of all of them all at the same time all year round.
Yeah. So the smaller lawns, obviously, you're getting blanket spray around one. You're getting some really good goodies. And that's how I sell to people. Like, oh, I don't want that liquid. You know, I used to have True Green. I use liquid. Pal, you don't even know what's in this mix. And then I send them a list of what we put in the mix and explain what each product is doing in that mix. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So it's all about the education of the customer and the technicians. But I like the liquid because I can put more in a tank than I can in a bag. And that's what I've always told people. You know, coming from my background, you know, I kind of call it like a turf chemist in a way. You know, you're always tinkering with different things and like, does this work together? I did a fungicide mix and I'm not happy about it, but it was T-Nex, Pillar. I put a wetting agent in. I went a half a pound of N, which is kind of
That's ballsy.
questionable right now. But it'll grow. It'll grow out in a couple weeks, I think. But yeah, it was an interesting mix. Either they were going to turn very, very, very green, or they were just kind of get hurt for a little bit. And
Or their
one was
tips.
my neighbor. One was
They're
my
gonna
neighbor.
have,
I drive by it every day, and it's not looking so good right
yeah,
now.
you got frosty tips like your
Yeah,
hair in the late
it's
'90s.
not that
Frosted
bad, but
tips.
it's not looking too awesome, anyways. But
So program has evolved over the years. Have you
it
found?
changes every year.
I love this question because my answer is there's. I look at products that we see and get sold to us, and these conferences and just the vendors and everybody has something, right? Have you found any product, any of these tinkers over 11 years where you're like, that one I'm going to run every year, no matter what, because this is making a difference in my lawns? No, right?
Never,
What? Two,
never.
three-way and prodiamine?
Yeah, not even prodiamine. I got away from prodiamine. I've gone dimension. Oh, that's another thing on the program. So yeah, let me go back to your question.
All right.
I really don't think that there's anything that I've ever found that I've used every single year because things have changed. Like I used to go just propiconazole 14.3, then I went to the 51% oil base, then I went to or whatever, yeah. And then I went to Armada, then I went to Pillar. And I've used Pillar for the last couple of years. Mosquito program. Oof. I started off with Demand and Archer. Then I went to Proflex. Then I went to some other crap that didn't work at all. And it was like active ingredients. I was like, oh, this is the new stuff. Nah, awful.
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck on Scion, and Scion is my number one.
Yeah.
FMC, I just feel like they back it. If you have the documentation right, they'll back you up. And it does get damn good results because I maybe have had 3 callbacks out of 750 mosquito apps this year, and it's
Do you
great.
think you're getting enough rain to get the
Oh yeah.
callbacks? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
I walk through properties. The people that complain, you know, you've got a thing that's upside down with an inch of water in it. So you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
The program changes and evolves. Before this year, I tried this thing where it's a spread it, forget it situation. We would do granular round 1, round 3, just spray weeds, round 2 and 4, and then 5 and 6 was a winterizer and Solucal, essentially, a CalStar.
Yep.
I didn't love it. The technology was there. I just didn't love it from a lawn care standpoint. Like a golf course, you could probably do it and get away with it, but to spend that kind of money on the Acela and Dimension long term, it's like $110 a bag. I just didn't see it fitting in my financial profile for my program.
Yeah.
That's just insane. But then you still got to spread something round 3 with Talstar. So it's
Hmm.
not a full spread or forget it situation. And that's what I try to turn it into. And we hadn't gone to Celebrant yet. So, um, but the spray lawns get double dimension. Granular lawns get a Celebrant round 1, dimension round 2. And that was something I
Yeah.
changed this year. And I asked a few of my reps and people that I know around here, and they're like, "What do you think about dimension round 2?" And I'm like, it hasn't really emerged yet until May 15th, which is when I'm starting round 2. Let's see what the results are.
Yeah.
Obviously now there's crabgrass up, but if you have a decent looking lawn, you a little bit of crab on the edges, hit it with some drive accelerate, and you call it a day.
Yeah, crabgrass is me and John Perry and Jesse Smith always talk about. I want to know if I do a lawn for 2 years, how long can I go without applying any crabgrass pre-emergent again, as long as I'm, feeding the turf, keeping it healthy, nice mow height, watering it when it needs water. Is it like, I guess it depends on the situation. If your neighbors are shitty neighbors and there's seeds
So
blowing in your yard, but
that's what I was
it's
going to
just,
say. Like it all depends on your inputs. So if you have a landscaper, maybe less, because
yeah,
who knows? They could cut a shitty lawn before yours, come over, drop a crabgrass seed, and then you're done.
yeah,
Because you're not going to pre-emerge next year. So yes, that's an issue. But if you're controlling your entire environment and you're doing some organics and stuff like that, like yeah, you can really get into this like customized lawn care.
yeah. And I feel like that's kind of what you like to do. You
I do.
you almost,
It's just not scalable.
no way, no way. And that's
It's
why,
something that like I could go out, do by myself, be an owner operator kind of thing, have 300 customers, and they get, 15 apps a year and 4 fungicides and uh, all that stuff.
yeah,
Like, I mean, I'm literally spoon feeding your lawn every 2 weeks because I can, because you're paying me for it. And I would say I have 10% of my customers that would pay for that type of service and
yeah,
trying to do. So I started a fungicide program. It's 4 apps, May, June, July, and August.
yeah,
Every 28 days on the pillar. Um, I might switch things up. I might throw a propiconazole with azoxystrobin just to get rid of the pillar situation, where it's 4 apps every year.
yeah.
But
Switch your mode of
fungicides,
action.
yeah, I mean fungicides, man, they just make such a big difference in overall quality of the turf. Not just the fungus, it's the I started using phosphite this year. Um, so add that to my little tool belt.
Yeah,
A lot of golf course guys love it. So I'm always
yeah,
looking for different things. Wedding agents, what can I do to stand out among my competitors? So Seascape, they're probably a $10 million company. They're pretty big.
yeah,
I don't know, they've got to have 75 trucks. It's crazy, but they run 2 men to a truck, so they're constantly training their employees, which I just don't really see how that works. But they don't lose people because I've never had an applicant come from Seascape, which is absolutely amazing. Um,
yeah.
then where else was I going with that?
Well, I
I just
gotta
want to set myself.
on that fungicide, tip, I'm this is the second year where we're offering it full time. We do the same thing, 2 apps spring, 2 apps fall, late summer, whatever you want to call it. And we love, I've found that the lawns that signed up for the fungicide program are just better,
Mhm.
just better when the obviously the fungus hits when it's hot and humid, but also when it's not, when it's dry, they look better.
Mhm.
They perform better. And so that was my, like, you had said something, you're messing with some growth regulators. I'm wondering, we talk about all these products and NPK and biostims. I'm wondering if there's a market out there to change the entire program to just being, rotate your fungicides, do some growth regulators in the spring, tiny amount of fertilizer, and see how that lawn compares
Mhm.
to your typical 2, 3 pounds of nitrogen, all whatever the standard is, right? It would be just an interesting comparison because like I said before, I don't think there's a lot where you can be like, oh, that product is perfect. and I could tell the difference between these two fertilizers, right? This one's 28%, this one's 26, but I can really tell the difference between the 28. That, but I feel like the growth regulators, the wetting agents, and the fungicides are almost better inputs into your program than a lot of the stuff that we're putting in the last 10 years.
100%. Yeah, I mean, there's a there's a lot of good technologies out there. We're very limited in lawn care what we can use. We're mostly DMIs, but that's why Pillar is such an intrinsic, or the whole technology that BASF has. It's all about plant response and recovery in addition to stopping the fungus. But 28 days of control, 1 ounce per thousand. It's in a 43.56 ounce bottle. Like, it's made for lawn care. It's awesome. It's just a little expensive, but charge for it. I was talking to Fabian the other day. He goes, "Well, what are your costs?" I was like, "I'm probably $7 per thousand." He goes, "All right, so what do you charge?" And I was like, we did the math. It was $15. I said, "So I'm a 50% markup." And then I got my overhead, but I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's just the results you're going to get from it, and the customers. You put a sign in that lawn, and in a week and a half, 2 weeks, it's going to be one of the best looking lawns in the neighborhood, right?
And I like doing it too,
that's the confidence.
A lot of the people that get fungicides, obviously, the more finicky people. But I get to go walk the entire lawn. It's nice that I get to go do it because I can walk the entire lawn. I can inspect it. I can, take pictures and send them to my guys and coach them on that. I get to see my customers. I get to talk to them. It's I don't do that a lot anymore. So it's nice to do fungicides in the summertime. That's kind of my
that's your thing.
Little exercise, and just put the headphones on and don't bother me.
Yeah, lose a couple summer pounds, as I like to call them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's next, Mike? I mean, what's Forever Green? Everybody's selling. Is Forever Green going to sell? You guys out of the market?
No, I'm 30. I'll be 39 next week, I think. Yeah. I mean, I don't own the company, so I hope he doesn't sell. But to be honest with you, if he did, I gotta just work again.
Yeah, you got the experience, right? Yeah,
start over. I think I could do it in half the time. I mean, things have changed, but I've learned a lot. I had no business. I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for growing grass. Like, I think we had a business 101. My Spanish class was Spanish for the workplace. So we are talking about like how to say bunker rake and lawnmower and stuff like that. So, business wasn't a thing when I started this, and I've learned by talking to people like you and just the Real Green Conference. Kind of the networking is pretty good. And that's how I've grown. So I don't know what's next. I don't think selling is a thing. I don't think Brian wants to sell. He wants to keep growing. But we want to grow the right way. And, this year, like I was saying with the EOP stuff, you order in October, you get it in March, and you pay for it in June. Well, round one is also due 90 days later, which is also June. So right now is a very stressful time. It's just trying to pump out as much work as possible, but you got to get the money in. So things are a little tight, but we're working through it.
Hey, it's an ebb and flow. It's all about cash flow. Steve, I was talking to my business partner about the we do 6 apps, and he just threw out the idea of we do 6 visits, right? He threw out the idea of doing 5 visits. That way we can maybe do a little less staffing. We can, balance out our programs a little bit where we're not on the lawn because it's just, we seem like we're on the lawn too much at this point. So it's a good conversation, like you said, this networking and what the Real Green has done for me. And we went to the Grow Summit last year, 2023 with Steve. That was done by Landscape Magazine. That was awesome. And I ended up meeting Chris Brown of Teed Brown. The networking is important. I think it's the most valuable, important as I grow as an owner, because similar to you, I was very raw. I knew the grass stuff. I learned all that, but to run a business, I mean, I had no idea what I'm doing. And in year 5, this has been one of the harder years. And it's because now I have to transition from being this tech that's doing the apps and doing all this stuff to the owner, and it's tough to do, but it's funny to see that you still have your feet on the ground. You still need to get out on the lawns and inspect them and see them, because I think that's valuable.
It's more a shit
Invaluable.
fan situation than anything. I mean, it's like, yeah, I enjoy going to do it, enjoy the exercise. Monday it was 92 degrees. I was just sweat. I put my my Titleist Aussie hat on and I just
There
go.
you go.
But
Yeah.
like towel, you're just wiping your face. You get in the truck, you're like, and then you go to the next one. But it's good. I don't think I could ever be just an office guy. I like to be outside. I mean, I'm a golfer. I like to enjoy the outsides. Not today because it's 14,000% humidity, but
Yeah.
it's still better in the winter. But the program thing with Steve, we run. I'll go through mine. So round 1, round 2, we're a solid print dimension. Right now we're running a 2003, 40% slow FERT. We're 4 pounds, so just under a pound. We're wet enough where I'm not nervous about stressing things. Everybody's irrigated for the most part, and the ones that aren't brown, like you showed me the pictures of yours. So round 4, we just spray weeds. I kept that in the mix. So that 2803, because we're not going to use it all, because if the plant's not growing as much, it's still going to be sitting there in September. And then round 5 and 6, we're going to hit it's a 1805 with Amp XC, which is like a CalStar Salucal.
So your round 5/6 is really one visit.
One visit, one pass, double price, double bill.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Aceleprint. The Aceleprint, I started 1.5X and then I went to 2X round 1. So that's where we get 8 or 7 billables essentially.
7 billables, yeah.
Man,
good. That was a quick hour, Mike. We're already at an hour. What I don't know. We don't have anything to wrap up. I do have to give a shout out to Tick and Skeeter leader Brian and Steph Sweeney.
Hello, this is Brian and Stephanie, owners of Tick and Skeeter Deleter. Are you providing a tick and mosquito control service?
We formulated a product to target today's environmentally conscious market.
Tick and Skeeter Deleter is your ultimate 25B exempt pesticide.
This product controls on contact while acting as a repellent.
With these all-natural essential oils, you will leave behind an aroma even the neighbors will enjoy.
Elevate your business with Tick and Skeeter Deleter.
Use discount code ROOTZONE for a 5% discount on product at yardcomfort.com. Thank you for listening to the Root Zone podcast.
So go visit Tick and Skeeter Deleter and check out their product. But besides that, Mike, I got nothing else. I really appreciate you jumping on. I know we tried to get this done earlier, but this podcast thing's a lot of fun for me. I really want to do it.
I want to do it again. We got to do like a group. I want to do the group. Do like a. I think 3 or 4 people, and we could keep it calm, like a nice little business circle.
Exactly. Well, I'm definitely going to be in Dallas for Real Green. I think I'm gonna go straight to lawn ecology afterward, and then go to Florida. I think I'm just gonna be away from my house for 2 weeks, but Dallas should be fun, and we'll definitely do another one in Dallas. Live, what do you call it? Live in Dallas.
Live in Dallas. Live in
and
Dallas.
I appreciate
bourbon.
Yes, yeah. Well, that one. See, this is the middle of the day. We're having fun, but we're not loose. So maybe one of these ones in Dallas will be a little looser with a bourbon in our hand.
Oh yeah. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks again. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in Dallas, man.
All right. We'll talk soon.
Thanks man.
Pal.
See you.
Appreciate it.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.